evening. Welcome again once more to Ashford, Garley live here on Bridge Radio Africa. Volcano Shelton, the co-host of the program, is with you this evening. We want to welcome all of you wherever you are to our broadcast. We come your way simultaneously on Facebook and YouTube. We come in on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time and 1 a.m. GMT. We want to welcome all of you, our viewers. If you're celebrating your birthday today, we say happy birthday to you. Whatever the occasion is, we say happy occasion. Enjoy it. And listen, spread this link right now. Invite a friend. Bring a lot of people in tonight so we can have a wonderful discussion here. We're talking about education tonight. And it's very important. You and I know that what is trending in Liberia regarding education it's not going well. So we want to talk about it. We know that the House just passed a bill for free education. We're talking across all the way up to college level, undergraduate per se, from everywhere in the country, particularly for public schools. So imagine how much that cost. Again, if the teachers are not being paid, then how can you really, talk about making things free? So again, it's another important discussion here tonight, here on Bridge Radio Africa. Ashford is not with us tonight, again, but listen, we're here to work together and make sure that we're bringing you our broadcast as usual. Ashford will definitely be here next week. I'm guaranteed at some point next week. Except something really changed that, but he should be coming back next week. So for those of you who are missing my man, yeah, he should be in the house soon. If you just joining us, I see James Wayward. He's monitoring from Waterloo in Iowa, and our man Raymond Clark coming through from Dallas, Texas. I see Abu Bebeto Fofana. Welcome to the show, my brother. Welcome this evening. We want to thank Live FM 104, actually 105.3 in Zwedru Grangita County for carrying our broadcast. We say thank you so much for what you do for Bridge Radio Africa. Also, Joy FM 101.5 out there in Liberia, and FM Live FM 104, the Stop FM 105.3 and Live FM 104.1. Again, I let me get it right. Top FM is in Zwedru Grangita County, and that's 105.3. They carry our broadcast out there, and then Joy FM 101.5 and Live FM 104.1. Just wanted to make sure I got it right before I get in trouble here with the Bridge Radio administration. Again, thank you so much for being there. Today is March 12th. 2021. We are here in studios in Philadelphia, and we just want to welcome Amar Sese, Josh Nimle, Momo Varkins, and the rest of the crew. So as I said, the House passed a bill that was put forth on the floor by Representative Thomas Fala. Of course, the phenomenon around free education is not new. That proclamation was made by President Weah. Again, with what has happened last December in the by-elections, do we know whether this is a political subterfuge to rekindle the love and admiration of the Liberian people for the CDC in its quest for a second term? Or is this genuine or can be sustained? Now that the House has passed this bill, yet there are folks in the House who really didn't vote for it. One of those people is the co-chairman of education in the House, Dr. George Boley. And remember, Dr. George Boley was one time a Minister of Education. He says that this is not feasible. There is no way that a poor country like Liberia can finance other government's coffers completely free education. And especially from my perspective, when a country is in no way exporting uh, resources, it's not manufacturing, the industry is dead, and all those things. So where would this sustainability piece comes from? I have my colleague. He's been here with us a few times. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Moses D. Sendy, a journalist, Liberian journalist, and career social worker. You've heard me talk about, you know, laying the premise for this discussion tonight. These people are still pushing for this free education thing. Mr. Sandy, what do you think? Is this thing sustainable, or again, as I say, is a political subterfuge or ploy to rekindle the hopes of the Liberian people to love this CDC government again and say, oh yes, that's one thing out of our plate. We don't have to worry about it. But your child go to school and come back with empty copybook because the teacher themselves are resigning. They're not being paid. Moses.
Absolutely. This is a political ploy to make Mr. Weir and the CDC popular. Like Dr. Bolles said, research shows that the current action taken by the Weir administration, the passage of the bill, Thomas Fowler is a loyalist of Mr. Weir, is a loyalist of the CDC. So this formed part of the ploy to make the CDC administration popular at home. But unfortunately, the action taken yesterday by the House of Representatives undermines the educational system of Liberia. Like Dr. Bole said, that is not sustainable. Liberia is literally broke. The country has no money. The government does not have the resources and the educational, and the financial support to sustain, such law. The data
So,
is all over the place.
you're thinking you and I went to school in the normal times.
Yeah.
And even in the normal times when Liberia was the Liberia,
Mhm.
irrespective of the military coup,
Yeah.
the country was still in a strong standing with the
Yeah.
support from America and the international community to President Doe's government,
Yeah.
who received $500 million in that relationship with President Ronald Reagan.
Mhm.
Some of that money was put back into the economy. Of course, again, he fell out with the Americans because he used most of that money to build military barracks and market buildings, and then they all got rich. The same corruption they cried about on President Talbot,
Yeah.
they repeated that. But I
Mhm.
remember in 1986, we were in high school then. We had a national student riot,
Of
and it
course.
was on the same premise because our teachers were not being paid, and they were not being paid on time, and they were not being paid well. And so some of these teachers started leaving the classroom.
Of course. And
You remember that?
yes, I do. I do remember that.
So
And
under those normal circumstances, we had a situation like that when our population was still, I believe, under 4 million. We were
yeah.
probably 3.5, 3.3.
Mhm.
Today we're 5 million according to national census, whatever it is. But not only that, it is the citizens. We're also talking foreigners who are in the country, refugees, and all these people.
Mhm.
So it's a conglomeration of all people from all walks of life, making up our population. And then you're saying now, with this kind of huge population, when the country for 3 years now has done nothing substantial to
Mhm.
move itself forward, where would money come from? When every day you wake up, you say, wait a minute, have the Japanese get our loan they promise? Samuel Tuwe, where the money the Japanese are talking about? They not send it? Or where you say that $20 million you say we're talking about, have they sent it? You can
Yeah.
operate like that, Moses?
It is not. It is not doable. The dependency syndrome. And let me give you a typical example why the passage of this bill is not in the interest of Liberia. I had the opportunity of watching a video clip from Monrovia via Facebook, and the Deputy Minister for Education reported for to the Senate Standing Committee on Education. He said between 2015 and 2016, the World Bank, told the Liberian government that, hey, look, that was during the administration of President Johnson Sirleaf, that they could, contribute $50 million to the educational sector of Liberia. But in order to do that, their requirement was that the government replace or remove from the classrooms teachers considered quote unquote functional illiterate. And in order to do that, they asked the government to administer a plate, to minister an examination to determine if you don't pass, and then it means that you fall in the category of functional illiterate. So we're talking about teachers who serve in the classroom for more than 10, 15 years. And one test had to determine whether they were qualified or not. The government, wanting to get the $50 million, administered the test, and what happened? They removed several teachers in the country from the payroll of the Ministry of Education. They replaced them. Now, in the wake of that, when the we administration came, the problem of replacing these teachers came about. Now we have several schools in rural Liberia, in Nimba, in Grand Crew County.
Are there people
Ye-
talking in your background?
Yes, yes. I apologize for that.
Okay.
There are several schools in the country that today teachers are not in the classroom. Teachers are those that were removed from the payroll government. They are being temporarily replaced by what? Volunteer teachers. As a result, several schools are closed. So, in the wake of such a problem, Mr. Weir and his supporters said, well, let's introduce free education at the university level. Where's the money? And we're talking about COVID. COVID that has affected what? The global economy, right? A great country like the United States is challenged. Then you have a poor country in a third world country. I mean, a poor country like Liberia in a third world, a third world country, right? Struggling to survive on a national budget of a little over $570 million. And you introduce what? Free education? How are you going to fund this? Where is the funding going to come from? Tell me, Volcano, how do they expect to do this?
And again, like I said, I mean, people just jump to put things out there without, sustaining the thought around, how are we going to really think this through. And
Mhm.
accordingly, there are people they're saying, according to what I've researched, that they spoke with people from the universities. They spoke with educators in the country, the Ministry of Education. But the Ministry of Education is pro CDC. Let's talk the
Of
truth
course,
here.
of course it is.
The Minister of Education is Ansu Soni, right?
Yes.
He is a stalwart of the CDC government. So
Mhm.
what do you expect him to say? Oh yes, Mr. President, it's sustainable. Mr. President, we can do it. You know, same for those people who are pushing for this. But in
Absolutely.
reality, are these people now who voted for this bill willing to have their pay cut down to 5,000 so that we can take some of that money to put it into it? Is that part of the plan? Because I'm sure they're not going to be willing to. But
And
who do they expect to go to the classroom, Moses, between me and you, to teach for free? Who will
it's
be
not
the pro bono
doable.
teacher?
It is not
When the
doable.
ministers are making more money, when the
Mhm.
senators and the representatives are making so much money that they're
Yes.
not willing to even have a pay cut, to say the least, and all the amenities they're getting, who's going to go to the classroom?
Look, you struck a very salient point. The national legislature. I was doing a review of the national budget. The national legislature, the 2020-2021 national budget, right? For 103 lawmakers, they have a budget of more than $44 million. And guess what? Education, Liberia's education. In that budget, approximately $42 million is allocated for education.
So you just said it.
So
You got
yes,
100. You got 100 and few
and three
people.
lawmakers. Yeah,
100 and few people
yeah,
getting the same equivalent or a
yeah,
little more
a little
for a
more.
country's overall educational budget. And you're
Yeah,
talking about the influx of students when you
yeah,
make education free. You're talking about resources. You're talking about benches, chairs, more classrooms, more
mhm,
teachers.
yeah.
So look at the disparity. That's a vast disparity in what they're trying to
Extremely
do.
huge. Extremely huge. And look at this volcano to tell you how our people are misapply, misappropriate. Right? Let me tell you something that you're laughing about. If you look at the national budget, right? The Monrovia Consolidated School System operates 23 schools in Monrovia. The MCSS in the national budget has less than $4 million. And when you look at the Speaker's office, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, he has more than 50% of what goes to, I mean, he has what is more than $1.6 million that goes to the Speaker's office. So we
One
talk
man,
approximately 50%, one man,
one man.
approximately 50% that goes to the office of what? The Speaker. And you want MCSS to run 23 schools, pay teachers, maintain the structures with less than $4 million.
They went to Tot Mahal, the visitor Tot Mahal, the building looked so dilapidated, and Tot Mahal, that's supposed to be one of the best public schools ever to come out of Liberia, competed with even the best private schools. I
Mhm.
know it for a fact. Today,
Yeah,
Tot Mahal is a joke.
yeah,
It's an absolute joke. No
it is.
lights in the classroom, but they're still having night classes.
Mhm.
Students better have chairs and benches or chairs, armchairs, because there's not elementary school to have benches,
There's
but
no
armchairs,
money. The
you know.
MCSS,
And and Tot Mahal is just one of those schools.
mhm. Yeah, it's one
But
of
then
those.
you're talking the in the Monrovia Consolidated School System, the MCSS,
Yeah,
that only a little close to $4 million.
yes.
But then what you think about the Montserrat Consolidated School System?
Okay.
That's a whole nother consolidated school system because I went to high school under the Montserrat Consolidated School System.
Mhm. So, and to further buttress the point, right? Let's look at the University of Liberia. The University of Liberia is one of the institutions as per the law passed. In fact, in 2019, when Mr. Weir impulsively pronounced free uh, public education at government run universities and
Yeah,
community colleges.
tertiary universities.
Yeah. So the University of Liberia is one of such institutions. The University of Liberia is financially challenged. The university is overwhelmed because what has happened, like you said earlier, as a result of the introduction of the free tuition policy, you have a what? There has been an increase in enrollment at the University of Liberia. The university doesn't have the logistic to cater to the needs of those students. The university lacks the financial support to pay salaries on time, conduct professional training, and undertake other what meaningful projects in the interest of the university. Then you go to Tubman University in Maryland. That's one of our government state-run universities, right? Tubman University is also challenged. In 2019, professors literally in droves resigned from Tubman University because what? The university could not afford to pay them. In the wake of all of these challenges, and someone said, oh, well, let's have free education. But Mr. Weir, where is the money going to come from? Do you have the money? Or is it just because of what? Politics. And that is playing with the future of the young people of our country. No country, the world, can thrive in the absence of what? An educated citizenry. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
No society globally. You and I know when you go to school here, the costs associated with that. And somebody wants to play politics,
And that's what I was coming
people
to, Moses.
people.
That's what I was coming to. So I wanted to do a little bit of math. I'm not
Yeah.
that great at math, but
Mhm.
I was thinking to myself, and I said, let's hypothetically say that instead of making education, especially at the colleges level,
Mhm.
uh, community colleges
Mhm.
$5 per credit, full
Mhm.
university $10 per credit.
Yeah.
All right,
Mhm.
$5 per credit. That's 15 bucks for a course, depending
Yeah.
on no lap and all of that.
Mhm.
So that's 30 credit, 15 bucks,
Mhm.
and some most people like to do 18 credits.
Yeah.
They like to overload
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
All
18
right.
credits. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So you do that. At least if you pay $100 for a
Yeah.
whole semester, where
Mhm.
you're doing 18 credit.
Yeah.
Imagine me paying $850 for one doctoral
Yeah.
credit.
One
One,
credit.
one
Mhm.
doctoral credit. One of
Yeah.
my doctoral classes when I was studying my doctorate was almost 3 grand
Yes.
plus the fees. So
Yes.
one course was about 3 grand.
Mhm.
3 grand. But if you pay for about 6 courses, about $100,
Yeah.
that still can go a long way to keep money in the system and
Mhm.
help the school with logistics and even support some of the salaries because you have specialty teachers,
Of course.
people
Mhm.
who want to be paid for their education.
Of
Take
course.
for instance, I go to Liberia now. What are you going to pay me? $200?
They cannot afford to hire you because the
Okay,
school doesn't
so
have the
so
money.
but you cannot make it free. But I'm sure that people will be able to pay this kind of money because they want education and they want quality education. Rather than pretend here that you can make it free, but then the guys get to class, no teacher. So they
No,
just sit around.
no
Or they have
logistics.
teacher assistants and then they got to create pamphlet and those pamphlet they sell it again. So what I'm hearing is that they're making a whole lot. They're making a whole lot of fees that if those fees were avoided and put back into tuition, then they don't have to do all these fees. So people now are complaining that they pay more fees. They
The
rather
more,
go and pay tuition than pay these fees because people are just making up fees just to
yeah,
make money.
that's what they're doing. And so, like you were saying, right? How do you hire qualified and competent professors? When I went to graduate school year, at the end of my graduate program, I paid over $50,000 student loan. I
I
paid
got
over
about
50,000.
160.
Yeah, mine was more.
160.
Yeah, mine was, you know, more than $50,000, right? So, somebody in Liberia telling me that with such a student loan, I should go to Liberia and wait for $500. Is that doable? How do I pay my student loan? How do you pay your student loan, Mr. Shelton? How many qualified individuals willing to make such a sacrifice? And Mr. Weir is playing politics with the future of our country, the future of our young people. This is unfair. This is not governance. This is not governance, it's selfishness. How do you do this? Look, let me take you to rural Liberia to tell you how compounded this problem is. We have community colleges in Bomi, Lofa, Sino, Grand Bassa County, Nimba. How are these colleges going to be run? How do they expect these colleges to be run when you say everything is free and you don't have the resources? This is hypocrisy. This is not in the interest of the country.
And yeah, what it is, Moses. And
Mhm.
just to eject quickly, you come
Yeah,
to think about other sectors of the country. You're
yeah.
talking the health sector.
Mhm.
You can't even make the health sector free. You're
No.
holding people hostage who go to the JFK. You say if they don't pay their bills, they can't leave. They now
Yeah,
become prison in their own hospitals, their own
yeah.
private hospitals.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
so what are you trying to prove here? You can make everything free in Liberia? All right, then start making gasoline free now.
it's not possible.
Start making bag arrest free.
It is
So that
not.
bag arrest got where we are today. We thought the bag of might be and say, oh, bag arrest when we come to power, we make it $3.
Yeah.
Today bag arrest what? $65, $70.
To tell you, and to tell you
You
how
can make everything free.
you cannot, Vakana, to tell you how in Liberia our government pay little or no attention to education. Let's look at the average salary of teachers in Liberia. An elementary school teacher in Liberia, research shows on average means someone who has less than I say from 1 to 2 years working experience, right? That person will earn $135 a month USD for Canada, and that would be what 23,700 LD at a rate of 175 if you were to do the conversion. That way, somebody to someone who has been in the classroom for several years, more than 5 years, 6 years, and this come with what the location of the teacher, the work experience. The person may earn what 50,000, more than 50,000 Liberian dollars, and that was somewhat to what $288 a month. Is that a livable wage? Of course not. Someone who has uh, 10, 15 years working experience as an elementary school teacher in Liberia, research shows that a such person will earn close to 79,800 Liberian dollars. And we're talking about what? 456 US dollars a month. And in the wake of all these challenges, these people are underpaid and they ask them to underperform. They ask them to go to real Liberia to work. And you have a president who, woke up one morning, look in the blue sky, and impulsively pronounced to Liberians that, oh, well, we're going to have free education at all university, at all government universities and community colleges. Mr. President, did you consult with your technicians to tell you whether this is doable or not?
But the technicians are telling the president he's in clothes when he's on a payroll with no clothes on. They're not being honest to Mr. Weir. They're not being
Yeah,
honest to this young man.
yeah,
They continue to make it seem as though they're smarter than him.
yeah,
And he caves in not to be analytical. If President Weir could sit next to what's his name? What the guy's name? Samuel Toy at
yeah,
the Jamaica Resort, where
yeah.
I saw him declare Samuel Toy to be the boogman.
Oh my God.
He sat right next to Samuel Toy. Anything that man to be boogman, anything I'm a thought of the man, I'm a boogman here.
Yeah, and they say, well, Paku you straw, right?
Yeah, So when you make that open declaration, you just give on yourself, to the walls. And
Yeah,
these guys just came to get rich. They just came to prey on your success,
that's what they
President
do.
Weir. Your success, what you fought for with your 2 legs, your mind, your ability to adapt,
Hmm.
even in racial racial what is called slurs. I
Hmm.
remember how people call you all kinds of stuff.
Hmm.
There was one occasion where you had butted one of your opponent because he was continuing taunting you.
Yeah,
You went through all of that to come bring a lot of guys around you just to fool you
I fool you.
and telling you that yes, you can rather give free education to
Yeah.
Liberia,
Hmm.
to
Because
Liberia when you have nothing in the country. You
you
don't
met,
you can't even provide free electricity.
no,
You
you
can't even
don't.
provide pipe-borne water. So how can you educate people when the classroom is not up to date?
Hmm.
How can you educate people when today my little daughter, as small as she is now, is schooling from home because of the COVID?
Yeah,
But so committed when it's time to log in and do her schoolwork.
of course she's on.
When grown-ups in Liberia they don't even have the capacity to do their own homework.
You don't have access to computers.
Nothing.
You know
How can you make education free?
how can you?
This
And
is not a joke.
And we are saying this when the entire world, the economy of the entire world has been shattered as a result of COVID. And you have an African president in a third world country declaring free education at university and community colleges level. It means that the president is delusional. He's out of touch with reality. He doesn't understand what he's saying.
And even Dr. Bowler said this thing is not workable.
It's
Nowhere
not
in Africa.
doable. It is not doable.
Nowhere in Africa has worked.
Mhm.
He only, I think, only what, Germany?
Uh, it works in Germany because the German economy is very strong. They have a viable economy. Denmark, Denmark has a viable economy. These are the only countries in the world that I know of right now that have free university education. You and I are in the United States. When we go to colleges, yeah, what do? We take student loan, right? If you are not fortunate to get a scholarship, you have to pay for it. And then you have somebody sitting in Liberia, a third world country, with a broken economy, and impulsively telling Liberians that he can fund, university education.
So
Mr.
yeah, what
President,
it is?
where are
Yeah,
you getting the money from?
what is it, Moses?
Mhm.
The very government is not even able to pay its people.
No.
And you got a Archie Pompon setting himself ablaze.
Yeah.
Setting himself ablaze.
Yeah.
You got legislative workers laying down under the pro tem car and say they cannot go in today if I don't get my pay. You
So,
understand me? This is serious stuff, Moses.
so Mr.
Right?
President, you said, Mr. Speaker, you will roll over us
You
today.
roll on me today.
Yeah.
When you got a painter who took contract to paint the whole building, the man took money from his pocket and funded the project up front to get his money. He couldn't get it again.
And then I have to say, my man, you're okay me today about it.
But every day, the civil servants are protesting because they can't get paid.
Yeah.
They can't get paid every day.
Yeah.
And then you say you're going to make education free?
Where you getting the money from? Look, leadership is about what? Rational thinking. That's
And
why.
honesty too. And honesty.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Honesty. You got to be honest. It's like let's take this at a family level, right? If you work and say your month or your yearly income is less than $40,000, and you wake up one morning and tell your wife, say, "Well, I'm gonna buy, a $500,000 home." Is that
You're not sleep. You're not sleeping at home. You have to work 10 jobs to pay that mortgage.
but it's not sustainable.
Man. Well, let me go to break. Let me go to break more.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. If you're just joining us, this is Bridge Radio Africa, the Ashford Garley live show with Volcano Shelton, co-host of the program. We are broadcasting tonight, March 12th, 2021. We came on at 8 o'clock, as usual, our time. We come on at 8 p.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. In Liberia, we have Top FM 105.3 that carries our broadcast. That's in Zwedru, Grangita County. We also have Joy FM 101.5 and that of Live FM 104.1. We want to welcome Ibrahim Ma, RC Liberia, Washington S. Dolo, Jack Murch, Thomas Awaji, Marula Moore, Weado, Jenan Massaquay, Isaac W. Toy Jr. Sometimes when you spell your name on Facebook, y'all can misspell your own name and then make it hard for people to pronounce it. The other one y'all can do, y'all can make name, y'all can just form name. I see some name that God, Princess, Child, Jesus is in love. You join everything. How people pronounce that kind of thing? Y'all don't be suffering people here, man. It's not easy. We got a Tunis Hashim, the controversial Tunis Hashim. Welcome to the show. Again, Samuel Cook, Humphrey Jabate, all you wonderful people, Schmidt Dewey and Melvin Harris, Amara Sisse, Josh Nimle, Momo Varkins. It's good to have all of you in the house with us tonight. Again, if you just joining us, you're watching Ashford Garley Live is the show, and it's on Bridge Radio TV and Bridge Radio Africa and Bridge TV Africa. We broadcast on YouTube and Facebook. Share the link, invite a friend. We're discussing education tonight. The House of Representatives passed a bill declaring free education. That bill is going up to the upper house. Again, there is a what we'll consider a chance that it may not be passed because of this configuration of currently of the
Yeah.
upper house, meaning the Senate. Right now, we have one of our second studio guest just joined us. I'm about to bring him in. The name is Jackson Seton. Jackson is a career educator here in the U.S. You can call him a teacher. You can call him an educator. That's what he does for a living here. But he's also a Liberian journalist. Jackson, you need to tilt your screen good right there. You're looking good. Not too clear, but it's still doable. Welcome to the show. If you are following, we've been covering grounds. Jackson, you got to tilt it a little more up toward, yeah, right there. Good. Now you got a good light.
Yeah.
We've been discussing this bill that was put forth by Representative Falah to the House. The bill has been passed, but it's been sent up to the upper house. It has to do with free education. What we said in our premise is that is this a political subterfuge that this government wants a second term, and they are doing everything to win the hearts of the Liberian people again, or is it genuine that the president is in position to ready foot this bill or the free education in the country, or how is it going to be sustained? What do you know so far from this whole thing? And do you think, as an educator teaching here in this country, whether if you look at Liberia as a case in point, is it possible to have free education at the tertiary level of schools and YC exam and all these things? So practically education is free, put it that way. So the only public schools that will pay where tuition will be paid is at the graduate level.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Shelton, for welcoming to this show tonight. I was caught up in unavoidable circumstances. I had to respond to an emergency. That's what I was not here to be at the beginning of this show. But this topic of discussion is a very, very important topic. It's dear to my heart because I'm one person who believes in the human resource development of Liberia. Now, having said that, if you look at the data of Liberia, the illiteracy rate, according to the CIA facts sheet on Liberia, which was published in February 2020, the literacy rate in Liberia is 48.1%. That tells you a vast majority of our people are illiterate. And the issue of education not being funded is an age-old problem in Liberia. That issue did not start under the George Weah administration. It started way before George Weah came into power. But we believe that with all of the problems facing the educational system, the current administration can do more to try to improve the educational standard in the country. Let's look at this with budgetary wise. In terms of budget, the current budget, the 2021 budget allocated 79 million to education. The current budget is about 500 plus million. So if you do the math, it's roughly about, let's say, between 10 to 11% of the national budget.
But we have another number, Jackson. We have 40. We have 42, close to
I think
42 million.
you're in error.
Close
No,
to
it's
42
49.
million.
No,
It's 49. Now, let me just go there.
So how did you get to 79?
how
Yeah,
did it?
the 49, it's 79 million. The 79 million includes all of the allocation to all of the various institutions in Liberia. That also include salary, include the purchase of stationery, and everything that caused the educational system to run in the country. And I think that amount is far small.
Okay.
It's very
It is
small.
very small.
Mm-hmm.
79 million cannot adequately address all of the problems that is associated with having our kids in Liberia to have quality education. If you look at the trend, despite the fact that the House passed a bill and is going forward to the Senate, but if the honorable representatives and the senators, if they are really serious to fund education, they should go outside of the budget. They need to make some sacrifices. Each senator is making $15,000 a year. Representative is making almost $12,000, $13,000 a year. If they are serious to fund education, besides the $79 million that is allocated by the national government, they can reduce their salary by $5,000. Hypothetically, let's assume they reduce their salary by $5,000, each of them across the board. Now, there are 30 senators and there are 73 representatives. If you add the two numbers, they are 103. If you multiply 103 by $5,000 on a monthly basis, they can put $515,000 into a fund to fund education. If you multiply that by 12, that's 6.1 million. That can help to buttress the budgetary allocation.
And I want to pause you right there. Please, I want to pause you right there. We did some mathematical calculation prior to your coming. And we talked about the MCSS, Monrovia Consolidated School System. Their component of that budget you talked about is about $4 million.
It's less than $4 million.
I'm coming.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Maybe the ballpark is about $4 million.
Yes.
Now, you just save per year. If you took $6.5 million from these guys' salary, imagine how much more can be done.
Yes.
Can be done.
Yeah.
And that's one aspect.
I just want to make that clear comparison.
And that's one aspect of it.
Yeah.
Now, and the bill called about a cost for taxation on alcoholic beverages and tobacco usage. That's a good idea. Because if you look at the data, on average, an adult in Liberia from 15 years above, at 15 years above, consumes about 5.2 liters of alcohol per year. So if you put a little taxation on that, it can bring in a substantial amount of money to help fund education. 2, tobacco usage. The average Liberian 15 years and above consume about 150.1 cigarettes per year. That is the average. Some people consume more than that. So if you put a little taxation on cigarettes, which alcohol, cigarette, I call them luxury goods, because if you don't have the money, you can afford it. But it is a goods that even if the government put taxes on them, people will still consume them. That's another way to generate funds to fund the educational system in the country. Okay. Then you can also look at the national lotteries. Even though the national lottery, the proceeds from the national lottery goes to the group of 77. I don't know whether actually they're really getting that money from the national lottery. It's another something that we can talk about. But you can take some money from the national lottery and fund education. You look at the household. Each household is paying taxes in Liberia, real estate taxes. Okay. Now, the students that go to school in Liberia live in the houses, in the household. Some of the household, government can pay the taxation that is being paid for real estate. government can take a little percentage from that money and they can allocate it for education. So in a ballpark, what I'm trying to say, the government needs to develop a comprehensive funding for education, because Liberia is heavily dependent on subsidy from the outside world.
Mhm.
A third of our budget is from grant and loan.
Mhm.
The country needs to graduate from getting handout and generating its own revenue to fund education and to fund other basic programs like health. And if that is done, while it is true that the national legislature passed this bill, I think it is laudable, because quite frankly, you three of us here,
No, no, no.
during our
Only you.
during
It's
our,
not laudable. It cannot be laudable.
hold on,
It's
let me
not
finish. Hold
sustainable.
on, let me finish.
But don't talk for me. Let me be like. Let me be like. Wait, need Yaga Koluba. Don't talk for me.
Okay,
Right?
okay,
Don't put worry
all
on
right.
me.
Now, why I'm saying it is laudable,
Okay.
we struggle with education in Liberia for a long time.
Mhm.
From my standpoint,
Yeah.
all of the years I was in school in Liberia, at some point down the line, I
You wish
was
they were
taught
free.
I was taught by an alien. Either it was a Nigerian, a Ghanaian, or a Sierra Leonean, even at the University of Liberia level. So we have a huge shortage of teachers in that country. How do we address that? There's a way that we can address that. We have three teacher training institutions in Liberia, real teacher training institutions, because according to one story that I read, teachers in the rural area are quitting the job because they are not being well taken care of.
So then,
A
Jackson,
teacher.
what you feel laudable when you already setting all of the, you already giving all of
No, what I'm saying, hold on, let me finish. What I'm saying, it is a good step in the right direction.
But
But
how
the
can it be in the right
funding,
direction when you lay all the premises here that this bill is not sustainable, and you're
hold on
giving
now.
reasons why the bill
Hold
going
on,
to fail?
hold on. What I'm saying, when I say it is laudable, it is the first step. Before, look, a journey to a million
Moses,
miles
you're coming.
begins with a single step. A journey to a million miles begins with a single step.
But you can't take a step forward for no reason.
If we don't fund education, how do we move forward?
But
How do
Mr.
we move forward?
Okay, let me.
We have a problem. It is a systemic problem, and we have not gone into the nitty gritty of teachers' quality, student output. All of those issues are affected by the lack of funding.
Okay,
So
let
the
Moses
fact that the
coming. Let
national
Moses
legislature
coming.
can see this
Let
and say,
Moses
look,
coming.
we need to come up with a bill to fund education, I think we can hold them,
Mr.
we can commend them for that effort, but we can also hold them responsible to ensure that the funding is provided.
Okay,
So that's
Moses
the point
coming.
I'm trying to make.
So, Mr. Seton, thanks for your analysis, logical analysis, but I tend to disagree with your disposition. I disagree with you. The intent, I will agree with you on that. The intent of this bill is good.
That's what you should say, but don't
The
say it's
timing,
laudable and blah
yeah,
blah blah. You know.
the timing is just terrible. We're talking about free education at community colleges level and universities. This is what we're talking about. So if the bill goes to the Senate and the Senate concurs, it means that it takes effect immediately. Now, this law is going to come in when you already have a serious problem with the educational situation in Liberia. Right now, you and I know, as an educator, we have schools in Liberia that lack what? Chairs. We have schools in Liberia, especially in rural Liberia, that have no teachers. We have schools where teachers have been retired, and the teachers were retired not even knowing that they have been retired. You have a conundrum of problems in the educational system. And you pass a law that makes what education free when you don't have the resources to support it. I think it would have been good if the government had done this on a gradual basis, begin to work on the problems gradually and build, instead of just coming up abruptly, impulsively, and declare that, well, education at the University of Liberia is free. Today, the University of Liberia is struggling. Tottenham University is struggling. The community colleges are struggling. And you come and compound the problem. And Mr. Seton, as an educator, you said that is laudable?
Yes.
No. Let me come in quick. Let me add this.
And I'll give my point. I'll tell you the reason why it is laudable.
Come to your right small, because you split it. Yeah, come to your right. All right. So Moses, beautiful analysis here. And I'll say this why I say this. We have a $1.9 trillion stimulus supposed to be released this weekend, starting this weekend.
Yes.
Let's hypothetically say that because Biden wanted to show that he's better than Trump, and he made his opening declaration, but we don't have the money.
Right.
And then the Senate passes the bill. We're looking forward to this money, but the money nowhere. This is the situation with this educational bill that this president has put before the House. And if the House of Senate approves this bill, with all of the issues going on, how will they be able to sustain what they're asking for? They don't have it. They don't have it. So it's the same situation with this stimulus. I'm looking at my account by Monday. If it's not there, then something wrong with Biden. Something wrong with Biden.
I know Mr. Seton will also be looking forward to it.
But that's the point I'm trying to make. The Senate did not sign that bill of 1.9 trillion if they know that money was not in the reserve. If they knew that it was not in the federal treasury, they knew the money was there and it would be available. You see? So that's what we're talking about. And so to be laudable and happy for something.
Yeah, yes. It is laudable because
your father come and tell you
it is laudable
this
because
Christmas coming.
it is a
Jackson, hold on. This Christmas coming, I'm gonna buy you your best suit you always been praying for. That Christmas come, you can't get a suit. Tell me now. This is the situation.
To be honest with you guys, what you guys are saying, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. If we want to solve the problem, with the deplorable situation with respect to education, we have to start somewhere.
I agree. Absolutely. We
have to start somewhere.
By making it free.
Why it is true. Listen to me. Look, why it is true that this bill, maybe it was poorly timed, but over the years, the educational system has been struggling. Former President Ellen Sirleaf came, she said it was a mess. But she said it was a mess, but she did nothing to fix the mess. All right.
But we're not talking about the struggle.
Hold on now.
But we're not talking about the struggle of the educational system.
Hold on now. Hold on.
If it's struggling, then you will make it free.
Hold on. Let me finish. The reason why I say this bill is the first step, and it is laudable in a sense that it is providing free education to most of the students in Liberia. The government has to provide the funding to ensure that that bill works. Okay? We know that the country is struggling. We know that there are so many problems there are no textbooks in the school. In fact, there are no textbooks. Teachers are not being paid on time. Teachers are not qualified. Most of the teachers are not qualified to teach.
You're telling us things that we know.
I understand. So what I'm saying here is, if the government decides, if the government passes a bill, but I will make this recommendation with respect to that bill. I think it's laudable. Here's the thing: you can't give everybody a blank check. If that bill ties something like, okay, we'll give you free education up to the University of Liberia level. But when you are done with your education, you provide national service. That is, you go into the rural area to teach. We give you free education, but then you pay for it by providing some services to the country.
But
that would be a lot. That would be something that we can talk about.
Hold 1 second, gentlemen.
So this bill, it's not unique.
Jackson.
It's not good, but I think it is the right step in the right direction.
Okay,
If
Jackson,
we
hold on
say
a
that
second.
because, hold
I
on, let
need
me finish. If we
no,
say that
you
because
cannot
of
finish.
all of the
Hold on a
situation in
second.
the
Let's get
educational
this
system, is
Jackson,
because the
you cannot
educational.
convince us that this bill going to pass tonight. I just want to tell the callers that when I say hold a
Mhm.
second, just hold a second. 404-272-2808 is the number. Please call and engage Moses and Jackson tonight. Let Jackson convince you that this bill is laudable.
Yes.
404-272-2808. Please call in. Call us, please call in right now. Start calling in. Come in,
Yes,
Moses.
yeah, quickly, let me just say something. Mr. Seton, let's do some rational thinking here.
Mhm.
The bill we're talking about is coming into play when the world economy, including that of Liberia, is significantly challenged. We're talking about a third world country that is financially challenged, and you introduce university education free of charge. Do you know that with the introduction, there's going to be what? An increment in enrollment, right? More students going to enroll. You have to pay teachers. You have to pay for logistics, but you don't have the finance. How do you handle that, Professor Jackson?
That's what I indicated.
Hold on. I have a caller, guys. Let me bring this caller in quick.
Mhm.
Caller from a 2323 number. Are you there, caller?
Yes.
Coming, caller.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes. My name is Quality Sharif, calling from Pennsylvania, to be
Welcome.
specific, Philadelphia.
Thank you. Welcome. What's your contribution?
Yes. I want to say thank you for the show and the topic on the discussion. I just think that Liberia is not ready for free education yet. Uh, so the government should be looking forward to fixing the mess. We all know that the education system in Liberia is a mess. And I have a little testimony for that, or to that. I went to a school in Liberia, in the rural side. Well, I went to school in Vonjama City, and later on ended up to Nimba County and Grange. And during my school days, I was smart to myself. I was very smart. I was educated to myself until I traveled to America. And what I saw and what I experienced is a different thing. So I'm saying the government could work very hard to set the system, make the teachers qualify, help build good buildings, schools, empower teachers to work, encourage people, like some of you guys here, very educated people, so that you guys can go and volunteer. But even if one of you guys over there in the studio volunteer today to go to Liberia and go teach, what are you going to teach? What are you going to use to
I'll
teach?
be a Liberian Peace Corps.
Yeah. What are you gonna use to teach those people that you volunteer to teach?
Yeah.
You don't even have good labs in the schools. You don't even have good internet system in the school. You don't even have good libraries in the school. Then what are you making free? Why making them free?
Thank you, my brother.
So I really appreciate the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Caller from a 2728 number. Are you there?
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm Octavius Water to Senior, and I call you from Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Welcome to the show. What's your contribution?
Thank you very much. I want to address, I think it's Mr. Johnson, the guy who said the bill is laudable.
Yep.
So I'm so flabbergasted that an educator will list all the problems that he listed and still tell us that the bill is laudable. Let's say, for instance, a home with a family of 5. They eat one cup of bread every day. Why not they show that the daddy will go out and take 2 more children and come out of the family? It's not going to work. It's never going to work. The educational system in Liberia is a mess. What needs to be done is that we need to pay attention to pay our TTR and other institutions that are responsible for our teachers and get those systems back on. Then we can think about talking about free education and what have you. These people shouldn't be playing politics with children's teachers. Since 1990, since the civil crisis, that country has never produced anything like a good educational system. So it's about time that we revisit
when Mr. Jackson was in school, the way they were taught, the our teachers were coming for the teach. Those are things that we're supposed to invest in. When we grab that on our part, then we can go ahead and talk about free educational system. But right now, we don't have the money for that. It will waste our time.
Thank you, caller. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. Gentlemen, let me set the tune quick. So we understand where you're coming from, Jackson, the laudability of the bill and all of that. But if we continue to point out the issues with the system, then how can you make it free when you don't fix the issues before making it free?
Yeah.
Come in, Jackson.
No, let me just say this. The system is broken. How do we fix it? One of the ways to fix it,
by stopping corruption.
Hold on, let me finish.
No, you ask, I give you.
One of the ways to fix it is to ensure that we enact laws that will address some of the major problems that the education system is faced with.
Absolutely.
When I say this bill is laudable, I said it is the first step, but I did not say, and I want to be clear, that it is the universal step that is going to drive us towards achieving quality education for our kids. It is a first step in that direction. There are so many steps that needs to follow. And that's what I'm saying. So I don't want people to have that mindset that Jackson Seton say, oh, Father Bill, what are you? I'm not looking at the political nature of it. I'm looking at the fact that we need to provide quality education to our students in Liberia. Absolutely. And if the government say, well, we want to pass a law, the other thing that we as citizens can tell the government, say, look, you pass this bill, but you need to fund it. You need to ensure that our teachers are trained. You need to ensure that our students are well taught. You need to fund the schools. You need to provide all of the different things that needs to happen for a school to run properly. Okay? That's what I'm saying. When I say it is laudable, Ellen Sirleaf, she was president. The educational system did not start on the mess, did not start on a George Weah.
We do.
It's an age-old problem.
And no one's claimed that. No one claimed that.
If an age-old problem, if a law is passed to address some of that problem, I think, honestly, and I'm being honest about that, we have to commend that law, but equally so, we have to ensure that the law addresses most of the issues that we are talking about. And that's the point I'm trying to make.
So yeah, but nobody is blaming the education system on President Weah. No one can claim that.
No, we not.
And I think the problem with Liberians, we always want to equate the past to the present. And oftentimes we do this just to make, give excuses. We cannot, nobody blame President Weah. We just saying President Weah, if you inherited a broke country, number one, if $16 billion got missing, we don't know where it's at. If $25 million mop up money, we don't know where it's at. If all these infractions, we have no evidence to show where all these monies and these issues, have gone, then why continue to create more problems? Because you cannot, and we stand firm on this. There is no way you can give free education in Liberia. No way. Not under this circumstance. You only again is a political subterfuge, just probably to rekindle the love or the political sentiments of the Liberian people as you run toward a second term. That's what it is. It's not sustainable. You just pointed, Jackson, all of the issues. So how can you sustain free education when you can't even pay your civil servants? When every day people are striking, when people setting themselves ablaze. Moses coming.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what you said, Mr. Seton, you clearly articulated the problems of the system. And then the paradox of what you're saying is that in the wake of all of these problems, somebody introduces a law that will compound the problem, and you say, oh, it's laudable. How can you do that? This is not laudable, Mr. Seton. There are several implications here. There's going to be what? An increase in enrollment. There will be need for logistics. You have to hire what? Qualified teachers. You have to provide for logistics in these institutions. You need to conduct trainings. You don't have the money. You already have a system that is broken. We have several schools in rural Liberia where kids are literally sitting on the floor. The most advisable thing you can do now as a government is to begin to resolve this problem on a gradual basis instead of compounding the problem. Mr. Weir's administration is compounding the problem. So under no condition, Mr. Seton, can this be laudable. That is not doable.
Well, you have your opinion. I have my opinion. You are entitled to yours, and I'm entitled to mine.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot be on the same wavelength. But what I'm saying here is the educational system has enormous problems.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what I stated, and I will say again, this law is the first step in trying to improve the educational system. There are so many other things that needs to be done, and we as citizens, needs to call on the government and say, look, you pass this law, but you need to do X, Y, Z to ensure that this law is workable. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Take for example, what country in the world gave its student free education without a student paying back?
Germany.
Okay, Germany is a developed country.
It's a right? Economy.
It's a developed country. It's one of the major economies in the world.
Mm-hmm.
If the government, if the national legislature, if they really say they want to address the educational system and they pass this law, we as citizens need to come up with some recommendations and tell the national legislature, say, look, yes, it is true that you pass this law, but we know that because of the challenges facing the educational system, this law is not workable, but we want you to include in this law X, Y, Z to ensure that it is workable. That is the point that I'm making. Okay? We cannot say, well, you pass a law, it's a political stunt. I'm not looking at the politics of it because I don't want to discuss the politics of it because I have some political views on that issue.
Yeah,
but what I'm looking at is the education of the kids. If the national legislature pass a law, say, well, we want to make education free for every Liberian, but you go into the rural areas, there are no teachers.
Right.
Okay? There are no teachers. Yeah. Why give people free education without tying some kind of a caveat? That's the point I'm making. We as citizens need to look at this law and make recommendations to the national legislature. So it is a first step, but it is not unique. It is not set in stone that this is going to solve the educational problem.
So Jackson, before you came on, I read some of the stories behind this bill. They've met with educational gurus in the country, the Minister of Education or Ministry of Education. They met with the universities and all of this, right? Some of the things you're talking about here, in most instances, they withdraw from the public opinions to see what people are thinking. So now you pass the bill. You're talking about the House of Representatives because they're pro CDC. They jump out and put a hand up with all some of them. I guess they even take that bill home, go sleep with it, read it, like they should do due diligence. They just emotion, I agreement and all of that. And in fact, they said to pass that bill, the noise until the statistician in the house could not even get the votes correct because the noise was too much. It was another big market ground noise that the statistician could not even calculate well because of the noise. So apparently a lot of them didn't even read this bill and to question it. But Dr. George Bowley, who is the co-chairman on education, said it is not doable, it is not laudable, it is not workable, it is not sustainable. And here's a man who served as education minister in the quote-unquote normal times of our time when we were in school. He's looking at this time in the 21st century and a government that is struggling, a country that is in darkness. You don't even have electricity from Robertsfield to Monrovia, meaning the roads are dark at night. You got no lights on the road. And then you say you're going to give free education?
And
That's what we're talking about.
And
Come in,
I
Moses.
think,
so
and,
yeah, so what I'm saying is that this is where I agree with Mr. Seton. The intent is good, but the timing is poor. This is what we all need to agree on. The timing is just poor. This is not the time that you do it. I know Mr. Weir and the CDC, they got good intention for Liberia. They love Liberia. But to do it now, you have to look at the bigger picture, the implications. Are you telling us that, take for example, right now, the University of Liberia, they are currently has free tuition. The medical college, the medical college at the University of Liberia, as a result of a financial hardship, currently has what? Only three full-time medical professors. Three full-time professors in the medical college. How do you run a medical college with three full-time professors? How do you maintain the labs? All these students are not paying anything. You go to Tottenham University, you have what? The absence of professors because they have not been paid for months. In the wake of all of these problems, Mr. Seton says, oh, well, it's laudable for us to make career education free. How do
yes,
we do this, Mr. Seton?
that's what I said. And I
I
stayed
think we
meeting
just
my
go
I
in
stayed meeting
circle
my
here tonight.
position. I stayed meeting my position.
Yeah,
It
but
is laudable in a sense that it has brought the discussion on education at the front and center.
Okay.
It is laudable. The education system has enormous problem. The House passed a law. That does not necessarily mean that the Senate is going to concur.
No, we agree. But
Fine. So we have to understand that too. We don't know what will come out of the Senate. We don't know some of the recommendations that we advance here. The Senate will look at it and try to put it into the law. So for us to now come after we look at all of these problems that is affecting the educational system, and we say, look, you know what happened? Let us do nothing.
No, we're not saying that.
You understand? That's what I'm saying. Why it is true that the law is laudable, but it is not unique. It needs to be found too. It needs to be tweaked to address all of the problems that is in the educational system. That's what I'm saying. But you guys are only looking at it from the standpoint that they are providing free education for students.
But in fact, there are a couple of things here about the law,
And you
right?
understand? We got to look at the source of funding, how it is funded. We have to have a clear-cut funding formula. We have to look at how it addresses teachers training. We have to look at how it addresses the mass failure of students in schools in Liberia. All of these components have to be looked at holistically. By you acting a law to provide free education, while it is laudable, I will say that again, it is laudable, but
listen,
there are so many problems that need to be addressed to come with that law. And that's the point I'm making.
let's stay seasoned tonight. We're being repetitious.
Exactly that's what we are doing.
Yeah, we're going in the same circle over and over. Jackson agrees that is laudable is the first step, and it creates the discussion. Well, this is not new. We've talked about it before. Even when President Weah said he was giving free education, now to go even further to put it into law. When we question it, then when he made our opening, what you call, how do you call it? You call it impulsive declaration, right?
Declaration of
when President Weah made that impulsive declaration of giving free education, and people question it then. And with all of the problems that we still discuss here tonight, or are discussing here tonight, they didn't address those things, but now they want to put it into law. So it's like, I tell you, I'm the mechanic here. I tell you, say, listen, your car needs tune up. If you don't fix your do this tune up, it will damage your engine. Okay, it's all right. I'm aware it needs a tune up, and I will get it fixed. But you go on, you don't fix it, and then the engine now, the car doing blah 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 blah. Then you come back to me. I'm the mechanic. I will tell you, say, you remember I told you when you said you brought the car, said the engine was giving problem and it was going to go. So you didn't fix it, or you didn't come back to me in time. This is it. So we've talked about this before. We did point out that this issue is not going anywhere. This issue is here. It was it's just an existential motif. It's a theme that there's nothing you can do about if you don't fix it. But the propound and compound the problem is to say that I'm going to declare and I'm free. It's not possible. So let us not keep going back in the circle. I want to encourage the callers again to call tonight.
Okay.
105.3 FM carrying us live in Grangeville County, Joy FM 101.5, and Live FM 104.1 carrying us live in Monrovia. If you just joining us, this is the Ashford Garley live show here on Bridge Radio Africa. My name is Volcano Shelton. I'm the co-host of this program. A lot of people are asking about Ashford. Ashford should potentially be back next week. Yeah, so you wonderful people can see the giant again. Again, I have Jackson Seton, an educator here in the U.S. he's been teaching for forever here. I think it's mathematics.
Yep.
Okay. And Moses Sandy is a journalist, Liberian journalist. Jackson also is a print journalist. Moses is a print and broadcast journalist. Yeah, man, come on, you newscaster, so you're a broadcast journalist. And you also wrote to so anyway, Moses is also now a career social worker here in the US. And these guys are lending their expertise to the discussion tonight. We're talking about this free education bill that has been put in the House. The House passed it. It's now going up to the upper house. But one of our concerns here is whether it's going to be passed in the upper house. Now, the analytical pieces you guys have put forth. Let's be honest here, Mr. Seton and Mr. Sandy. Do you think that the upper house going to pass this bill now? I'm coming because the discussions now come to the limelight, to the table, to the front, that this bill is not sustainable. It is not doable. The co-chair also, say that this bill is not doable. A lot of people, there's a lot of other talk shows talking about this. And, do you really think that composition of the house, the upper house now, will pass this bill? I will start with Moses and then coming with Mr. Seton.
I strongly believe with the current conglomeration of the individuals in the Senate, I strongly believe that this bill will not pass because there are a lot of level-headed people over there, and they are nationalists too. They're going to look at the implications of this bill if it should become a law. If this bill becomes a law, our universities, public universities and colleges will suffer. They will not get the funding they need. These institutions will produce individuals that will be functionally illiterate. Someone will have a degree in accounting that will perform even worse than a high school graduate because the logistics won't be there. Qualified teachers won't be there. The funding won't be there to sustain these institutions. So I strongly believe that Abraham Darius Deno, Yombli Kanga, Senator Sogbe Orewaji, Komene Wise, Vani Sherman, and other enlightened senators will not compromise the future of the
educational system.
The educational system, just to please Mr. Weir. I strongly believe it.
Thank you, Moses.
Yes.
Yeah, sit down.
Thank you very much. Let me just say it this way. The senators are all well-educated, very smart people. I trust their judgment. Now, the senators have been in office for so many years. The situation with the educational system in our country has been deplorable, and they have been there. Now, one senator has come up with a bill to address the educational system in our country. Now, one, the House passed a law and sent it to the Senate for concurrence. I believe the senators will do the right thing. They will do two things. Either they will reject it, or they will tweak it to address all of the issues that the educational system is faced with before they can pass it into law. And I would want to appeal to them that if indeed, if there is that route they are taking, they should call a national conference, a national educational conference, to discuss all of the problems affecting the educational system in Liberia and find a way on how to address it, including funding, before they can concur with the national legislature. Because before they can concur with the House of Representatives. Because as I said, this bill is laudable. It is a first step, but there are so many issues that needs to be addressed before it can become law in the country. You understand? Because if the Senate concurs, then it is a disservice to education.
Absolutely.
It's a disservice to education. Okay? Because there are so many issues. You got teachers that are not trained. You got schools that are not properly funded. Yeah. I'll give you a classic example. President George Weah went to Detour High School. He saw the deplorable condition of the school. He was appalled. But that's only Detour. Detour is just a stone throw from central Monrovia, possibly Leeward counties. I was in Grand Cru 20 years ago. I went with Senator Beatrice, then Grand Cru Senator Beatrice Sherman. I went to Sastown. The very Sastown the president went and they were dancing the war dance. I was there with dance war dance there too with Senator Sherman. I went to Sastown High School. I took pictures. Students sitting on the floor. No blackboard. So that's only Sastown. So if Detour High today, 20 years after my visit to Sastown, and the president can go to Detour High and see a deplorable condition in Detour High, what happens with Boswin? What happens? These are MCSS schools now. What happens with Boswin? What happens with Tottenham High, G.W. Gibson, all of these schools? So if the senators really want to improve the quality of education in that country, they will say, yeah, this bill is laudable. You bring it. But we cannot sign this bill. We cannot concur with this bill as it is. Either we will reject it or we will craft a new bill that will address all of the issues that affects education in that country. And I think that's the right decision they need to take.
Thank you, Jackson.
To address all of the issues that affects education in that country.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, we're running close to the finish line. If anyone wants to call, please do so quickly before we shut the lines off. 404-272-2808 is the number. You're watching the Ashford Garley live show right here on Bridge Radio Africa. Bridge Radio Africa and Bridge TV Africa come your way on YouTube and Facebook Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 a.m. GMT. I'm hoping that some folks are listening wherever you are in your time zone around the world. We're discussing the educational system in Liberia. Oh, wow, I have someone calling. It's a familiar person. And man, listen, I'm going to bring this guy in right now. He's been a guest before. The man hang up on me? Oh, man, the man hang up on me, man. The man hang up on me. What wrong with this man? What wrong with this brother? You got to come on the show. Yeah. I won't let the cat off the bag yet. Yeah.
He has to go. But
I'm not sure if he's I'm not sure.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Mason.
Hey. Mr. Shelton.
Mr. Mason. Joe Mason. Joe Mason is the president of, let me get it right, the Association of Liberian Journalists.
Yeah, you got it right. You got it right this time.
Okay.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
I know you
my man, you don't return my call.
I am, and it is a very interesting discussion. But let me say this off the bat. Pretty soon, we'll start charging Ashford Garley live. I'm talking about Alja. Alja will start charging Ashford Garley live for the wonderful guests you have on tonight, Mr. Cindy and Mr. Seton. I think they've brought a lot of spark to your program tonight, and the conversation has been really interesting.
Thank you.
Same here.
We'll accept that. We'll look into that.
Yeah, but let me, as I said, it was such an important discussion tonight that I wanted to just contribute as well. Um, I think one of the things that policymakers should avoid doing politics with, and I'm not saying for sure that this bill it has some political nature in it, but everyone needs to avoid playing politics with the country's educational system because we can all agree, and I think your guest on the program said it tonight, that quality education, especially for our young people, is the bedrock of our country's development and our country's progress. But I would think that before a committee decide to pass a law, they would do the research. They would bring the experts in. They would talk to folks. They would ask all the tough questions that need to be asked. Has this thing worked before in other countries? How successful has it been? What did they do if it worked? What did they do for it to be successful? So I don't know if the committee did their homework as evidence about the fact that the committee's co-chair has disagreed significantly with this bill. And he has expressed his disagreement. And I disagree with George Bully on a lot of things. But just listening to his press conference today, you cannot help but agree with many of the salient points that he made. We can all agree the educational system is a mess. But I think where this bill enacted into law as it currently stands, it will further exacerbate our current our problem we have in the country. Whether it is the fact that the infrastructures that we have right now, they're run down, whether the fact that we have unskilled teachers or the lack of access to education, the problem persists. And I will urge when the bill goes to the Senate, I will urge the senators to carefully examine this bill because it might be well intentioned, but I think it would do further harm than good to our country's educational system. Because you see, higher education, whether it's at the 4-year level or at the 2-year level, it should provide our citizens with the education skills needed for the job market. Because that way you go and learn all the skills. And we don't want to have folks coming out of college and university without the skills that they need. Our college graduates, whether at the 2-year level, at the 4-year level, they need to be competitive with the computers in the sub-region and the world at large. And my fear is that if we don't have the funding to make up for this free education that this bill proposes, it will water down our system, and I think it will affect our young people for generations to come. This is a really serious bill that is moving through the House right now, and I urge everyone to pause and give it serious consideration. It could have long-term damage on our country's education system if it's not done rightly. So that's what I wanted to add.
Thank you, Joe. Just before you leave, how is Alja and what's
Well,
going on with
Mr.
Alja? Will
President,
there be a national convention this year?
A good thing you asked, and a good thing you sit on the convention planning committee as well. So you will help to answer that question. But I can say to you and to your listeners who are on right now that we're hoping, we're keeping our fingers crossed that we will have an in-person convention this year. We know it's been a really tough year, but given the way the trend of the vaccinations when it comes to COVID-19 is going right now, the fact that some of our folks have gotten vaccinated, including the 2 guys who got on your program this evening, they've already taken the vaccine, so they're pretty okay. We're hoping the majority of our members, including you, can be vaccinated in time for us to have an in-person convention.
I just took my
There you go.
I took my first shot yesterday.
So we hope a lot more people can get the vaccination before September, which is the actual date. So if this trend continues, we are hoping that we can meet in person again after not doing so last year.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for coming on. I have my last call on the line, Joe. Thanks so much. We'll let you go. I have my last caller on the line. Let me get to this caller. Caller 3389. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Shelton. This is Emmanuel
Hey,
Jackson.
Emmanuel, welcome to the program.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. So, passing a bill or the laws on the books or policy initiative. The problem with Liberia, even in my macroeconomic class that I took here at the Penguin Institute in Boston, we were told the problem is the accessibility to funds and how government handle funds in Africa. So you can put all those things down on paper, but the funding that is there to see those things become a reality, it is always funded by the sitting government. And this is the problem. I give you an example. When Taylor became president, he said he's going to make Liberia #1 export country. He wrote a very beautiful brochure about tourism throughout the country and everything. And every year for the national budget, he presented only $80 million. When Taylor left, the fund that Taylor and his guys has squandered about $645 million of government funding. So, we can do all these things because if you look at our country now, the only thing that keeping Liberia afloat is the donor funds that come in. But the actual wealth of the country, the minerals that are sold, all that money is squandered. We have to save the money. Just look at unity government with the county development fund. In Sano, between the late Van Nipla and Mobutu, what the guy named TJ, and with so many of them, all those funds with the Bond County College thing. Look, if we can't control ourselves with how we handle government finances, there's no way we can develop the country. The international community can help as much as it can, but it is our responsibility as we run the government, the fundings that come in, our funds plus what we sell for our national or natural resources, we have to. For construction of projects that we want. If we don't do that, we're getting nowhere. And the whole world has come to notice that about especially Liberia. So this massive financial corruption has to stop before we can see development in our educational system, or else we just be wasting our time.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you.
Yeah.
This guy squares himself in the queue. 3389. 3389 number. Are you there?
3389.
Yeah, that's the last number. 617.
No, it's 973.
Who is this? And what's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is T. I'm calling from New Jersey. How you doing?
We're good. You following the discussion?
Definitely.
All right. What's your contribution?
All right. This is my thing about the whole educational system in Liberia. The whole thing about the educational system in Liberia, this, in my opinion, these people that residing over the educational decision, look at most of the children are even in that country going to school. So how can it mean well for other people, children who in the country? That's the first thing. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Most of them, the children are in that country. So they don't care about the future of the country. Okay? And it's hard for people to sit here and say the countrymen or the Congo man will now work for the countrymen. No, that's not true. The country has been given to the Congo man, the countrymen how many years now? And still they can't get it right. Most of the people, the other day I watched what's the guy named Bill Twary trying to brag about people voting in America because of the lawsuit. You see that? First of all, check. Is she in private school or public school? Is she in public school? Who tax money paying that public school? We, the one who in America. So the people that back there were in the Liberian government. Most of the children are in the school, and how can the school system be improved if the man who over the school, the board of education, got his own private school? You know what I'm saying? How would they improve it? These people taking the country for joke, and they're taking the future of the country for joke. I don't know how they're going to fix it, but I don't see it. I have no faith in this government that empowered by education. I'm sorry to say it. That's my input. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Last caller hang up. I guess we'll just do for callers tonight. But Moses, that was a very, very striking point.
Excellent point. Yeah, she struck a very salient point because
People, a lot of the children here in America going to private schools and the best public schools in the best communities, and they're pretending like they're giving free education over there. But listen, guys, we're about to wrap up. We're gone a little over our time. Let me give you guys each a minute or two for your closing statement so we can wrap this up. But I thought it was a great discussion. So, okay, Jackson, you go first. Put a nail on the coffin.
Oh, as I stated earlier, the country has enormous problem. Liberia is heavily dependent on foreign assistance and the remittances that we send back home. I just gave you some statistics. Liberia, our balance of trade with the world. We export $200 million worth of goods and services to the world. We import $1.17 billion worth of goods and services. So in terms of balance of trade, we are importing over $80 million worth of goods and services that we cannot pay for. That's a serious problem. And we want to improve the educational system. The national budget is almost about 500 plus million, which is little or nothing. We need to find another way of generating funds to fund the government and to fund our programs. We need to stop this corruption in this country. There are so many dishonesty in Liberia, and that is hampering the development of that country. Having said that, if the national legislature is serious to improve the educational system, while it is true that the House of Representatives, they passed a bill to provide free education for college students, which is allow them for that, but that's the beginning. There are a lot of stuff that needs to be done to improve the quality of education in that country, and I don't think that bill, as the way it stands, can address that until they can address all of the issues, and we can go about all of those issues. We all know the issues. Okay, until that bill can address all of those issues, we're not going nowhere. And it's just another sad story for Liberia.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackson. All right, Jackson, we'll take leave of you now. Moses coming.
Yeah, I would like to wrap up by saying that I agree with Mr. Seton that the bill introduced in the House, the intent is good, but the implications, if passed into law, will be huge. It will impact the educational sector of Liberia negatively. So I strongly propose that the senators take a closer look at that bill and act in the interest of Liberia. Put Liberia first. This is no time for politics. The CDC introduced this in order to become popular. And I think Liberia interest supersedes the interests of any political party. I want to thank you, Mr. Shelton, for the opportunity to be a part of this meaningful discussion. And also, let me say thank you to my friend and brother, Jackson Seton, our national president, Joe Mason, who also participated via our telephone and the callers. I want to say hats off to everybody. And thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Moses. It's always good to have you in. Very insightful. And I say have a good night. I'll log you out now and close this program. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank all of you this evening for being there with us here on the Ashford Garley Live Show with the co-host Volcano Shelton. It's a great opportunity to engage, on the very trending issues in our country, particularly Liberia and here in the diaspora. We say that we're here to enlighten, we bring on the topic and we discuss it. We want you to opinion it. We want you to bring forth your opinions and suggestions, criticism, whatever you want to do. But just do it in the most civil and I would call it respectful manner. I thought we had a wonderful discussion. Why it is true that there were some disagreements. It is necessary for discussion, especially when it comes to debatable issues. But we still stand firm that, of course, the bill has to be really scrutinized by the upper house before it can be passed. Maybe the lower house, because of his majority rule regarding the current ruling party, was able to not do due diligence to the process, but happily declare the bill passage. I will hope that the upper house will do a better due diligence by scrutinizing the bill further to determine whether it is sustainable. I think sustainability here is the key piece to this. Again, we've laid out many of the issues in the country, and it's not just for education, but every sector of the country. We talked about it. Every sector of the country is in a deplorable shape. The health sector, the socioeconomic sector of the country. People are living by the skin of the teeth. They can't even afford the basic incentives. You know, mental health is another trending issue in the country. A lot of young people, all of our young people. Mr. Seton talked about the consumption of alcohol usage by Liberians. So that tells you that there's a serious mental health issue in the country. Drug usage, all these things, they are very, very of concern. And we're not addressing these things when we're talking about giving free education. But how you get free education when a man even got food in his stomach to eat? You ever been to class hungry? I've been to class hungry. And then it might be math class. You know what I mean? To do math on a hungry stomach. Let's be serious here. You know, when you coming from home, you even know whether your old man hustle to cook or your puppy ever brought, you know. So give people the incentives to live, to survive. Create industrialization in the country. Bring factories back. Bring work in the country. You know, bring investment in the country. Do these things. Bring electricity, because most of the businesses cannot sustain without, fluent electricity. Bring water, pipe-borne water. Do those things, okay? People will still be able to pay for the school fees. Today, the schools in the country, the private schools now are taking advantage, because as people, the public school begin to have no teachers, a parent who able to still send a child to public school, private school, will find a way to do that. And mind you, just elementary, or what they call K, because I get it confused now since, we've been out of school too long. Now they got, in Liberia, they want to K them more than the kids in America. They got K, they got ABC. Back then we had Prima 1, Prima 2. But now they got ABC, they got pre-K, the pre-K now, the ABC, then the pre-K. The pre-K, they say they're teaching the children how to wear from toileting in the dabo to toileting in the commo. That the pre-K. Then get to the ABC thing here. Then start singing ABC song now. They're the pre-K. Then from the pre-K, then they got the K. Then they got the other K. Then before they got, so by the time the child get to first grade, they're already 8 years old. Almost 8 years old. Just because they want to keep the children down there to make money. Serious stuff. So a lot of issues going on. And for those of you who don't know it, I'm telling you, because firsthand, I know it. Somebody asked me, how many times do I go to Liberia? Every year. Every year I'm in Liberia. And when I go to Liberia, I seep in the problems because I see it. So we're not trying to say, okay, President Weah is not doing his best. We're not trying to say, oh, the CDC government not doing the best. We know these problems were there. And they even became more profound since the cessation of our civil war. But the civil war has been over for a while now. And one person I continue to blame, I don't care what they say, is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. 12 years she could have done so much to set the stage for that country. But they left the country in a place where a young man inherits this country, but then he doesn't bring the right technocrats around him. And these guys are breaking, getting rich. And that's why I have the problem. Nobody looking for job. But just put the right people in the place and let them do and deliver for the people. You got 3 branches of government competing for the one resources that come to the country. The house or the legislature, they want almost half of the budget. The judiciary, they want almost half of the budget, and the executive want almost half of the budget. Then what will be left for the country itself? The country itself, what will be left for the country itself and its sectors? That's the problem Liberia has. These 3 branches of government, especially that legislature branch, that's the branch that's killing that country. Those are the people that are killing that country. They found it to be one of the places to go make money. Everybody fighting now to run the race. I want to be senator. I want to be legislator. I want to be a representative, rather. I want to run. Everybody that where they're going now. Because they feel that they can influence the budget. They can refuse to pass the budget. If what they want in the budget, the selfish greed, the aggrandizement, if it's not in the budget, then it becomes hell breaks loose. So my people, that's what we're talking about. Liberia. It's a serious problem, very serious problem. And I say it because it is the truth. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. We can't continue to sit here and pretend we have a serious problem. And we hope that one day, one day things will improve for our country. That's our hope. That's our hope. But we got too much wicked people. We got too many wicked people. Too many wicked people say they're running Liberia. Too many wicked people. They don't care. The last caller said it right. Those guys who trying to pass bills for education, their children are in overseas, or overseas in foreign countries, and the best of education, and they're paying for it. Even up to their girlfriends, they send their girlfriends abroad to get the best of education. They pay out of pocket. Understand me? So that's serious stuff. Very serious stuff. Well, thank you so much for being there tonight. Marula Moore, thanks for hanging in. Abraham Ma, Smith Dawia, Mona Lisa Morris. We want to thank all of you wonderful folks for being committed to Bridge Radio Africa. Ashford, Garley Live, Jack Merch. Jack is always here with us. George Fawa, I see the name. And J. Howard Freeman Richards. Ibrahim Ma. I just want to thank all of you. Jacob Williams is a new guy. He says here that Bridge Radio should be a worldwide discussion. Yeah, but we are worldwide. People can call us from anywhere in the world. So it's just left with the callers. Martin, Wiama Brown, Vahum Nendi Man, and our good man we adore, and the rest of the crew, Octavius Wallator, Emmanuel Jackson, Stephen Seton, Athanasius Gata Johnson, or Athanasius, if I should pronounce it probably Latin like Gata Johnson, and Victor Logan. Welcome, and hope you will join us on Monday. Monday we'll be back here at 8 p.m. same time with the Ashford Garley live show. Again, as I said, Ashford might be back likely next week. All you wonderful people who are missing my brother, he will be back soon. Hang in there. Don't let go of Bridge Radio. Continue to hang in there. Ashford will be back to join us again. Thank you so much. I appreciate you tonight, and it was a wonderful discussion. We hope that again the Senate will look at that bill thoroughly before putting it into law. Thank you. Volcano Shelton saying good night.